May the grace and the peace of God the Father and the Son Jesus our Lord be with you today as I welcome you again to another morning devotion. Right here on the Home Based Ministries Network, this is your Cup of Joe. We are going into the book of Matthew chapter 7 right now. And what an awesome book we are, what an awesome chapter we are in. Thank God for all that He is doing in your lives, in my life, for revelation, for the careful imparting of His wisdom in all things in Jesus' almighty and in His matchless name. Amen. And remember, again, as I told you, Jesus is speaking to one group of people. Undisputed. Alright? Morning to the advances, extra Friday, Sam Brother. It's the top of the morning to you and all of you guys who are listening in across the various networks. Matthew chapter 7, verse 1. Matthew writes that Jesus says, refrain from judging before you end up being judged. I want you all to understand. Stay with me. It's like telling you not to do something so that the same you don't do will not be done to you in return. It's about the response. Just say that in your atmosphere, the response. That's the understanding being established in these few verses. The consequences of the response, and not just the response, but the response to what you first put out. Your output will determine response. Now let me educate you so you can correctly apply the definition to what you have been reading. The word judge comes from the root Greek word krino, K-R-I-N-O, which is a verb. It is an action word. The definition is to have an ability, listen carefully, to see differences and be able to use the same ability to express an opinion or to discern or discriminate. It also relates to criticism by assessment. Get this right. Remember, play this video over so you get what I said. It's about expressing your opinion. It doesn't mean, this word here that's used here, judge in Matthew chapter 7, it doesn't mean that you have expressed condemnation towards anything. It's about giving your opinion, not to condemn, but to identify, adjust, and set in order. Now, in English, which limits the Greek understanding above, the word judge means to condemn or applies to condemnation and also a separation between judge and the thing judged. It emphasizes what we call verdict. The original wording and meaning is different to the English, and that has to be considered for correct application of the scriptures here in Matthew chapter 7. Whereas you see in the Greek the emphasis lies on recognition and the judge's approach of the thing judged, bringing the definition of the word discern as the means to have the ability to appreciate differences. So we are being guided not to be critical of others at this point, but it carries a response of likeness to ourselves. You will see why as we go forward. Notice I say at this point. Verse 2. He then says that how harshly you judge or how critical you are, the same quantity of critical assessment you will be entitled to. Okay, so let's apply the Greek to what was said. Jesus is saying that how harshly we criticize or express our opinions towards others. This is what judging means here. Or how harshly we assess, then we have to look out for the very same measure of assessment. Then he mentions the word measure 3 times. The word you read also as met is to measure also. So he mentions the word measure 3 times. So the discern you discern towards others is the measure of discernment. which will be used towards you. It's a quantity value. Or criticize. How you criticize others, you will be criticized the same manner. How you express your opinions will be expressed about you. Your actions determine the same results. It's the same measure, quantity wise. Your correctness has to be unchallengeable in situations so as to avoid reproach. A sinner cannot condemn a sinner, in other words. You getting it? That's what Jesus is trying to establish with the hearers. He's setting you up for something bigger in your understanding. It doesn't mean that sin goes unrecognized, or when someone is doing the absolutely incorrect thing, they would be allowed to do. So it means that there must be persons also in the position to give correction because of integrity. No incorrect situation is to go unchallenged at no time. What you need to know, however, is that if you are in the position to determine assessment, do not falter, as the measure you gave will be the measure of your receiving. From here, this is not about removing the ability to assess others, but about advising or instructing you on how to either get prepared or be in the positions to give assessment by discernment. Beloved believers, sometimes we go along a path, and maybe along the path of thinking or even in our actions and doing for quite some time, and be very wrong. Sometimes it's the way we pronounce words, sometimes the way we may go about performing tasks. The thing is, even if you were and are comfortable with the wrong thing, when the correct thing presents itself to you or is presented to you, are you at the point, even if you have been doing whatever for a while, able to accept correction and make changes? Would you be able to let go of some things? Today, allow humility to prevail in all of your situations as we go forward. Take the opportunity to let correction into your actions, thoughts, in the things you say, in your pronunciations, and more so in correct and true application of the scriptures and wherever else. Don't fight correction or accurate knowledge despite a lifetime of tradition. Be receptive to change through correction. I'll see you guys tomorrow. This is Pastor Solomon De La Rosa in God's grace.